fact that she recently attached her voice to a cause in Etobicoke High School, I was really sure that Lady Gaga would accept our invitation. But no such luck, Lou. Couldn't do it. But we did manage to get a last-minute stand-in. Lady Donna O'Neill, who will lead us in the singing of our national anthem at the conclusion of tonight's activities. So you see, ladies and gentlemen, we have virtually every sector and every area of our local community represented here tonight. It speaks loudly to the impact that our friend Lou Rinaldi has had on this riding over the past 8 years. And that's why we're here tonight, to celebrate that impact. And I can't think of a man more deserving of that celebration than Lou Rinaldi.
Well, I can tell you that we greatly miss Lou here at Queen's Park. He's part of our Liberal family, and he was an inspiration to us. One of these guys that gave politics and politicians a good name.
It was a good thing that Bruce mentioned that I was here, because I used to tell Lou he needed all the help he could get. And he accepted that. He even tried to convince that the politicians even looked after the weather. And I told him one day that he was wrong. And I remember the first time I used this phrase, I got belted by my wife because I said, the weather is left to a woman. And she hit me before I could say anything else. Mother Nature. Let us bow our heads in prayer. Heavenly Father, we thank you for this gathering this evening. We thank you for all that Lou has done in this community. Wherever throughout his riding, he left an impact wherever he went. Everything that he did from his heart. And we thank you, Lou, for that. And now, may God bless this food to our use and ourselves to thy service, for Christ's sake. Amen. The only reason why it's a short prayer is I'm hungry.
Say a few words about Lou and about Diane, actually, and their family. A great family, and it's been Suzanne and mine privilege to be able to meet them, to get acquainted with them, and enjoy their company over the many, many years. I first met Lou at County Council, way back at the beginning of the decade, and it was rather an interesting time to be on County Council in Northumberland, because the county government had gone through some some rather strange and difficult times. They were deeply in debt. Their capital was almost in the negative, and in fact, the previous county council was quite proud of the fact that they had decreased taxes for about 3 or 4 years. They didn't tell anyone that they didn't buy any new snowplows or anything like that. So it was a difficult time, and I was impressed with Lou right off the bat, because he realized that we were going to have to go back to our municipalities and tell them, gee, we're only going to increase taxes by about 7 or 8%, and you'll be able to absorb that, and we're probably going to do that for about the next 6 years. And Lou said, hey, we can do this, eh? It can be done. I said, gee, if Lou can do it, I can do it, eh? And but anyway, it was difficult. Humor aside, it was difficult, and it took Lou and the rest of the council, as a matter of fact, at that time, to be able to vote and say, yeah, we better do it. We have to do it, and we hired on a new CAO, Gil Brocanier. Probably one of the better things we did, actually. Wouldn't you say, Lou? And absolutely. So we had a lot of fun doing it, but it was great to get to know Lou at that time. I found out very quickly that Lou was always questioning. He was always questioning. Every meeting, he asked every question, it didn't matter what it was. And but he was going to get his 2 cents for him. He was always thoughtful and always approached issues from a county perspective. I must say, there are 7 mayors sitting on county council, and sometimes that's difficult for mayors to take that county perspective. I always admired him for doing that. Anyways, after that initial inauguration, I guess he thought, gee, Queen's Park can't be that bad. So he put forward and said, I'm going to run for MVP. And I was really privileged and honored to be able to nominate Lou. And from there, his career just blossomed, and he went on to Queen's Park. And for us in Northumberland-Quinte West, we've always been the better for it. I look at, I was in municipal politics for a decade as mayor, and I was lucky, one of those lucky guys, Lou, that actually resigned and said, I'm not going to run again. But anyway, this was the evening. Yeah, smart. Yeah. But as Mayor of Cobourg, I always appreciated Lou. You could pick up the phone anytime, Lou was there. If you needed him to come to a meeting, Lou was there. He was really accessible. He didn't hide behind secretaries or office people or anything like that. If you had a problem, he was there. And he was prepared to make the difficult decisions, and I always appreciated that, Lou. I had this crazy idea that we could build an outdoor artificial rink right in the center of Cobourg, and the town of Cobourg would just be filled out of their minds. I'd have 100% support from the council of the day, and there would be no lobby groups trying to submarine that with crazy ideas, and we were going to have hockey down there, music until 2 in the morning. They had petitions up at the malls and at the different places telling them, well, they're going to put up boards, they're going to have crazy music, and it's going to cost us a fortune. And the best part about it all is, I don't know how he did this, but Lou's office became convinced, and Lou did, that this was good for wellness, for economic development, for tourism. And he said, Peter, it's going to cost you $1.35 million, and we're going to get it for you. I said, wow, great. And sure enough, Lou got it for us. And more important than that is, there was a lot of pressure put on Lou to say, you got to renege on this. You got to force that mayor to change it. And we want it out in the park, and we want it out on the sand in the park because we don't want it where it's going to go, which was in the center town, which was going to be affecting some condo owners and that sort of thing. But I thought it would be for the benefit of the downtown and everything. To make a long story short, the rink did go in. We did open it up, and it's probably one of the best things that's happened in downtown Cobourg since. Every year it's packed from sort of 8 o'clock in the morning until 9 o'clock at night. I was also been indebted to Lou and the town of Cobourg too for the way he supported us when we were trying to get economic development going. For instance, Lou was right behind giving a grant for $2 million to Horizon Plastics, a company in Cobourg, to produce new innovative products. If they do that, it meant they were going to stay in business, and it meant that they would hire on new people. We have a new company that came to Cobourg. It's from Iceland, matter of fact, through England. It's called Back of Our Foods. Back of Our Foods was negotiating with about 4 or 5 other communities. And I really needed Lou to go to bat for me to get a grant from the provincial government to convince them that this was the place they should come to. He came through with that money. He came through with that money with a lot of hard negotiations. And because of that, Back of Our did come to Cobourg. And I think eventually it's going to hire 50 new people in the town of Cobourg. Lou, the town of Cobourg goes through a lot. Another company we have in Cobourg is Weston's. I'm sure you're all familiar with it, especially if you like Christmas cake. It was a company there that had about 90 employees. They were looking to either close the Cobourg plant or close some plants in Quebec. I went to Lou and I said, Lou, this is really important. You got to help me. And he said, well, what kind of money are they looking for? I said, only $2.5 million. Lou said, not a problem. No, he didn't say that. He said, what? I'm going to get in my office. I'm supposed to go and talk about this. Anyways, matter of fact, Weston's, he was able to get that grant for us. $2.5 million. Weston's decided to come to Cobourg and build a big addition onto their plant. it meant that 50 new jobs were created. Cobourg should be very grateful to Lou for his hard work. I'm sure that when you hear from some of the other mayors, they'll be saying the same thing. The pièce de résistance was about 2 years ago. I was out in British Columbia. I was going to the FCM conference, and I always say, look, I can't choose whether we're going to have the conference. It's going to be out in Whistler. I have to go. Anyways, here we are. We're on a bus. I received this phone call, and it's Lou. Lou says, are you sitting down? I said, yeah, I'm sitting down on a bus. He said, I don't know how you did it. He said, but we're going to give you $30 million. I said, $30 million? He said, for your new community center. And the province is going to kick in 10. I said, wow, I am sitting down. Shazam was with me, my wife was with me. He said, Peter, stop it, you're yelling. But that's the kind of MPP he was, approachable and working very, very hard for us. At the county level, I was warden for 2 terms. So I was sort of involved again with the sort of things that Lou would do at the county level. And one of the big things, the one we fought for, is actually for all of Eastern Ontario. I don't know how many of you are aware of it, that there's a project to bring broadband and expand it into all Eastern Ontario. And it's a $55 million project that would come from the province of Ontario. Lou was our representative at those Eastern Ontario Wards meetings. And I know that Lou was instrumental behind the scenes, working hard at Queen's Park to make sure we got the money so that everyone, where they live in Eastern Ontario, will have access to broadband. It's going to help us economically, it's going to help us grow. And it's something that's a lifetime gift that we have for Eastern Ontario and for our economy. He gave us $2 million to upgrade our county detour system. In Cobourg, the detour system ran across 2 tracks. It was 5 tracks, and that had to go, not 4 actually. I always thought that was kind of dangerous, if we were having trucks stopping on the tracks on the detour. And Lou supported us on that, and so we got a new detour route. He gave us $2.2 million, it's more even than that, to affordable housing. He gave us all sorts of money for community care, you name it. We have a program, and I think a lot of you here are from Northumberland and some from Quinte West, and welcome to our evening. Anyway, United Way started a program, a creative management program, one that's been copied right across Canada. It's Food for All Warehouse, serving, giving out breakfast and that sort of thing to families right across the jurisdiction. Lou again supported that and helped get that program off the ground, along with United Way and the county. I was also I was fortunate enough to belong to the Howard Report to Pine Ridge Health Unit, and I know how much actually Lou served on that too, and helped us a lot there too, by giving us support and getting us grants. Again, Rasco Region Conservation Area, money there too. But Lou was a great fount of money, and we appreciated that. But I really appreciated the fact that if you asked Lou to be at an event, if you asked Lou if he could say a few words at a special occasion, if you asked Lou to come to town council or to the county council and speak, and sometimes I know he said, I'd like to duck this if I could. He came anyways. He was there. And I always appreciated that, even though he had to handle the tough questions. He was a community builder then. He was a job creator. He was a supporter of healthcare. And he provided lots for education. All of those are going to help our people be better people and have a better chance in this world. Now, everything Lou did wasn't golden. So I must conclude my remarks with a scheme that Lou had that didn't quite go the way he wanted to. Lou is a very charitable guy, And hospice was looking for a venue where they could raise money. And hospice, of course, is a very worthwhile organization, all volunteers. So Lou said, look, I'll sponsor a mayor's trophy. And this will deal with the mayors in Northumberland County, all 7 of them, plus Quinte West. And they can come up and we'll put on some kind of race at my speedway. And we all thought that was pretty good. So as the first one came up, we were around raising money and everything, and it was close to $10,000 we raised. And so he came up and Lou obviously didn't talk to his wife about this. And he said, so the first one was, we were coming down and looking out on the racetrack, if you've ever been there, all these cars are lined up, and they're actually racing cars, eh? Racing cars, old Chevs with roller bars and everything like that, and they're lined up. But the idea was all the mayors would be blindfolded, and they could have an escort sitting beside them, telling them when to turn left. Turn left and full. Anyways, so I said to the fellow that I was with, I said, Joe, I said, as soon as they say go get your car, I'm going to get that car right on the edge, right on the inside track. I'm going for that. And so he came over, and the guy took me, and I still remember, he put on a helmet, he said, make sure it's on tight. I said, okay. He said, this isn't an ordinary car. I said, yeah, the roller bar and everything like that. And he said, so he said, okay, you're all right? Yes, we're fine. And I think Diane was probably getting a little quizzical, feeling a little nervous about this. And Lou said, don't worry, Diane, these guys, they'll putt around there at about 3.5 miles an hour. I said, there'll be no problem. They'll be so scared of these machines. And this was Lou's idea all the way, eh? So there's a big crowd there too, they're cheering us on. And so I said, look, there's a light up there that goes red, caution, and green. And I said to Joe, when that turns green, you just say it's green. I'm going to put this right to the floor. I'm going to leave Mayor Austin from Port Hope, Mayor Finley from Holloman. I just leave it in my dust. And so he said, it's green. I put it right to the floor. Well, Austin did too. And Finley did too. Everyone did. So Diane, she closed her eyes. So we got to the first corner. He said, turn. And he said, Austin's right beside us. And I'm turning around the corner. He said, don't worry about Austin anymore. He just went over the edge. So we're coming down the back straight to the street. I said, I'm just going to floor it again. I floored it. And Suzanne, my wife, said, are you out of your mind? Do you realize how fast you're going? I said, I had no idea. I was blindfolded. So by this time, we have Mayor Bill Finley from Holloman. He's coming up on the right-hand side. So he said, Finley's coming up on your right-hand side. I said, I'll just keep flooring around the turn. Well, Finley took it too wide. And he went right off the edge of the turn and banged right into a post. They did bring out the ambulance, actually. And we're coming down, so we're coming down the straightaway in front of the grandstand. Everyone's cheering and everything like that. And Joe says, Peter, turn to your right. He said, Jim Williams, he was the mayor in Cobourg at the time. He said, Williams' car stalled and he's out there with his door open trying to push this damn thing. So I wheeled to my right. He said, wheel to your left, you're going right in the grandstand. Wheel back to my left again. Well, to make a long story short, Austin had gotten back on the track and he was trying to take me, but he had no chance yet. We won that first event. I heard Diane say, Lou, this was the stupidest damn idea you ever had in your life. There's no way they'll ever get in a car again as long as we're running this track. You realize how much we could have been sued? And poor Bill Finley, and the EMS came up and they checked him over. He was okay, but I saw him the next day. He said, oh, my ribs are really sore. I said, you're just a sore loser, Bill. I didn't appreciate that either. But anyways, I really did enjoy my time with Lou, and I really did appreciate how hard he worked for us. I've lived in Northumberland nearly all my life, so many MPs have come and gone, I must say, and I've worked hard with many of them, especially the ones who are liberal, and I must say, they can't hold a candle to what Lou did for us, and we owe him a great debt of gratitude and a great debt of thanks. So thanks a lot, Lou. Lou, you just come up here. But I'm going to call up Mayor Gil Brocanier from Cobourg. You could come up, please. Now, how about a big hand for Mayor Gil Brocanier of Cobourg? Gil asked me if I would make this presentation to you, but I thought, hey, that's not fair. He's the mayor and he's the mayor. This little presentation from the town of Cobourg. Gil?
Thank you very much, Peter. This is going to be very quick, Lou, because I understand that they allotted 20 minutes to the previous mayor and the current mayor, and my speech is already over. By my calculations. But anyway, I can only echo what Peter has said. You know, I've been very, very lucky over my career to work with people I call 100%ers. But when it comes to you, Leal, I really feel privileged to have worked with you because you're what I call 120%er. And I can cite very quickly two examples. And just very, very quickly, I can cite two examples of how high esteem you're held in the Liberal circles. When Premier came down with a check for $1.35 million, he made a great speech to the town of Cobourg and said, you know, and he turned to Lou and he said, I don't know how to say no to this man. He is so persistent. And just as recently at AMO this past August, I was fortunate enough to get an audience with the Minister of Municipal Affairs and Housing, along with Councillor Henderson and myself. We were looking for something from them, and it turned out to be a very, very fruitful meeting for us, thanks to Lou. And of course, the Minister of Municipal Affairs and Housing required two of these after the meeting was over. And we were walking out the door, he said, I hope you realize just what a great treasure you have in Lou Rinaldi. And I said, Minister, you're preaching to the converted. And he said, we know. This doesn't really come close to representing how we feel about you, but it is something I hope that you'll hang somewhere in your home and you'll remember over very, very long. Thank you very much.
Peter stole most of my thunder. I had to rewrite everything I was going to say. If you think building a rink is tough, you ought to try building a bridge. Right, John? My good friend John Williams there. We're old bridge builders from way back. Now, Peter talked about things going on at Lou's track. He didn't tell you the part where the one time he was about to lose the race, which he did, and in the process he ran my son down with the lawn, riding lawn track. I feel sorry for Bill Finley, I tell you. So, my apologies, Padre, and the rest of any clergy who may be here, because the rest of this presentation may contain sex, violence, and swearing. Well, maybe not sex. And maybe not violence. What the hell are we doing here? You think it's your pleasure to be here, Peter? Why are we here? What's the matter with people? One of the worst nights of my life, I was sitting on Lou's sofa in his living room. We're watching the results of the election. And I've never felt so sick in my life. And I truly mean that. Well, for those of you who know me, and especially now for those of you who don't, you may realize that I do call him the way I see him, as Bruce mentioned. But throughout my years in business, working my dad's business here in Trenton one time, way back, and I always look for old school chums. The only one I ever see is Ralph Leone. Ralph's here, and hey, buddy, and you know, I think we're the only ones left from that era. But working in my dad's business, and I learned from those old hard school guys that, and every once in a while you had to fire somebody just to keep the rest of them in line. So I've always believed in having the right staff in the right position. And all I've ever asked from any of the staffs and any of the businesses I've operated is don't ever lie to me, and don't ever steal from me. I will catch you. And when the time came around, we did have to let someone go. Always did it for the right reasons. Far be it for me to question the electorate, but Lou Rinaldi was the right guy in the right position. Now, Lou's not the type of guy to go around bragging about his accomplishments. And Peter mentioned about the Eastern Ontario Warden's Caucus. And I also served a term as warden. And during that year was when the very successful Eastern Ontario Economic Development Fund was brought forward to the tune of $80 million. And Lou Rinaldi is solely responsible for bringing that to fruition through his colleagues. And Jeff Leal here is one of them, who's here now at Queen's Park. That can be contributed solely to Lou Rinaldi, and it's still in place today. Certainly one of my proudest moments to be involved in politics was when that was brought through. And Peter, you also mentioned about EORN, which is the Eastern Ontario Regional Network. And during those years, we helped lay the groundwork, which secured actually $110 million, 55 from the province and another 55 from the feds, for the backbone system of the new high-speed internet that's being buried, as you see now, all over the roads. There's guys that are horizontal drilling in the ditches, and they're bringing in new fiber optic cable. A new satellite that went live recently. And Lou was also very responsible in that initiative. Speaking from Northumberland, end of the riding, $8 million annually uploaded. That's a lot of jack. $8 million a year to EODSP and ODB and court security funds. People don't hear that stuff. They just don't hear it. I don't know if they expect it or they just don't hear it. Maybe you didn't see your taxes go down, but you didn't see them go up that much. Most people haven't even heard of the Eastern Ontario Warden's Caucus. Millions of new funding for roads, bridges, community centers, water and wastewater treatment plants, on and on and on. Lou took me to speak to ministers that secured funding for what some people believe could never happen. We were told that if we started building our wastewater plants without a grant in place, that we would never be able to install a grant onto those projects when they were underway. And I would like to introduce the man who made that happen not only once, but twice. The Hastings wastewater plant. After seeing the Minister of Infrastructure Renewal that time, we came away with a check for $500 grand. And not too long after that, I got a phone call from Lou one day. He said, "Heck, I got $1 million for you." Man, you're my kind of guy. What can we do with that $1 million? He's for infrastructure. I said, what about infrastructure that's already underway? He said, I said it's for infrastructure. $1 million more into the wastewater plant in Hastings. Campbellford Memorial Hospital is one of my many favorite subjects, mainly because I was born there, and because Lou, the Liberal government, kept it there. And we know it was on a previous government's chopping list. In fact, we believe it was next. And today, that hospital was one of the first ones to sign the new accountability agreement. Always has a balanced budget. And leads the province eradication of C. diff. Of course, there's the Proudly Northumberland Agricultural Initiative, something that we're all very proud of in Northumberland. The support that our agricultural sectors have seen from Lou, which led on to other county initiatives with agriculture. And Northumberland has quite a few of them on the go, including the farm gate, and all the other guides, and Tricia is here. The canning that's done annually, the canning sessions, and all kinds of agricultural activities have been spurned from that initiative. We could be here all night if I went on for as long as Peter did. You don't get to speak after me, buddy. But truly, I could go on all night and talk about what Lou has done and tell you of the millions of dollars that have been injected, and I'm sure John will have something to say about what was done in Quinte West. When times were tough for me, it was almost like magic that I would get a text or a phone call from Lou. And it could be during an election, it could be during an issue, or it could be during trying to go bridge. And I would get a call, and I would get some encouragement and some wise words from Lou. And I never had to ask for it. However, when I needed to get a hold of Lou, he was just one text away, and I always got a message back immediately. Lou has and is a friend to Northumberland-Quinte West and all of Eastern Ontario, whether they know it or not. Lou and Diane will always be friends with Sandy and I. In fact, I can tell you there are conservatives in this riding who consider Lou to be a friend. Lou, I have a little something I brought as well for you. Brought a little something that, and we shared these presentations on the road show when we've been out honoring somebody for a significant birthday or a significant anniversary. Before I see Layton, Lou, you have just the best staff too. Always helpful, always there. You really picked a good team. The Council of Municipality of Trent Hills takes great pleasure in recognizing Lou Rinaldi, MPP, and appreciation of your dedicated service and leadership on behalf of all those you represented. From 2003 to 2011, and I am very pleased to present this to you on behalf of the citizens of the Municipality of Trent Hills. And speaking of Proudly Northumberland, this was manufactured proudly in Trent Hills, specifically in Warkworth, just for you.
These notes are these up here. By the way, our MC's doing a great job tonight, isn't he, Bruce Davis? He's really into Lady Gaga. What's that about? Get you some golf. Oh. Hey, welcome, Mr. and Mrs. Rinaldi. It's a pleasure to be here tonight. And I want to also welcome many, many members of Quinte West Council that are here tonight, Lou. And I know there's lots of support here. I want to thank his worship and his worship. His worship here from the great municipality of Cobourg, and it's nice to have you here in Quinte West, sir. Nice you get out once in a while still. I know I know it's late for you to be up, but don't worry, it won't keep you much longer. Peter, great guy, and great city, Cobourg. Got a lot of good things happening in Cobourg, and we're after that Cobourg Marina in Quinte West. We're getting there, and you got a good example, sir. So we're going to follow that very closely. So thank you for support. Hector and Peter have talked about all the good things that have happened. And I met Lou actually when he was chair of QEDC, Quinte Economic Development. And members are here today from QEDC, Chris King and Ted Reed, and some other members, Chuck O'Malley, who worked with Lou. And as mentioned, Lou was one of the ones that started the economic train going, and the fact that we needed to work together as an area, Brighton, Belleville, and Quinte West, and we've had a lot of great successes. And from there, of course, Lou moved on to the province and even more successes. So again, he's been a real example to us. You know, when we talk about Quinte West, those of you who know my background, I'm not normally a big liberal. Those of you who don't know, actually Ernie Parsons is here, and Ernie and I ran against each other in 2003, and he kicked my ass. And now he's your honor. And I just don't want to get caught in front of him with a traffic ticket or anything. But Ernie, it's nice to see you and Linda here tonight. He's become very good friends of Heather and I. So Ernie, nice to see you. But anyhow, that was 2003. We got over that, and we set to do this job. And you know, hey, you know what? It's not about party at the end of the day. And I said when I got in this job in the municipality, the important thing was for me and for our council was to work with who was there. You know, we had to respect each other. I don't care what party you are. At the end of the day, we wanted to get some things done. And I think our council and myself took that attitude. And of course, we were very successful in achieving a lot of good things. And I give Lou lots of credit for that. And I give you some examples of what's happened here in Quinte West. Those of you who have been downtown in the last few years, and I hope you get a chance to come down more often, but you'll see the kind of success that's happened in the downtown Trenton area. We've had great success, and a lot of that came through the RED program, Rural Economic Development. Lou was a big player behind that. He pushed those programs for us. We put the applications in, and we were successful. And that is the start of what you see in downtown Trenton. It's progressed for the last 4 or 5 years, and was really made a difference. So I want to thank Lou for that. Really made a difference. Thank you, Lou. Thank you very much. Also, you know, we didn't have a pool or a recreation center here. And, you know, I felt, and council felt it was very important that we have a place for recreation and good health and such. And so I said, you know, we should look at a YMCA or a building like that in the community. And so, you know, I do like I normally do. I talk to Lou. And I'd say, Lou, we only need $4 million. And was it 3? Sorry, 3. Yeah, okay. Well, then, you know. And I said, it's only 3, but if you can get 4, that's even better. And so we put together the plan, and we went to council, and council approved it, and we got behind it and supported it, and we were able to do, thanks to Lou, get $4 million, by the way, towards that project, which you see now up by the 401. Again, a beautiful facility, first class, something that we think is important for our community, something that Lou can say for years and years that he was a big part of that, and that's why that facility is there. And then we had you know, we get sort of through one project, and then we pick up the phone, and Lou said, just guess what, Lou? We got one more we're working on. And he'd say, yes, what would that be? And I said, well, we want to do a marina. We think a marina would be good for downtown. It's good, it brings economic development and such. And we only need $4 more million. And Lou would say, yeah, okay, no problem, Doug, whatever you need. And but I'll tell you, you pick up the phone, like Peter said, picked up the phone, and Heck says, you picked up the phone, you called Lou, and he called you right back. Very, very attentive, very, very personal. You know, always never kept you waiting. He'd always say, Williams, what do you want now? But always very, very much involved. So again, marina will happen in downtown Quinte West and Trenton because Lou Rinaldi was the MPP. Again, I go back to the industry. We've had lots of it here in Quinte West, whether it's Canada Blast Freezers, Deca Cables, and Nestle's, the Rampack, Metro Paper, Electric Cables, Global Med. I could go on and on with all the assistance that we've had with local companies in order to maintain jobs and to grow jobs in this area. And without that type of support, we wouldn't be able to make that happen. So again, Mr. Rinaldi was a big part of that. Provincial funds provided to Quinte West companies over $7 million, which leveraged close to $58 million in project investment, and 716 jobs created here in Quinte West because of the type of programs that Lou was able to work on. So I can't say enough. I also want to recognize Lou. As you know, Trenton, of course, home to 8 Wing and home to a Wing military base, and as you know, the start of the Highway of Heroes. And that Highway of Heroes name just didn't happen. You know, there's a book out by a guy by the name of Pete Fisher from Cobourg, and I hope if you haven't had a chance, you pick it up. Great, and it talks about the Highway of Heroes and how it starts from Trenton and goes up to the 401 and goes on its way to Toronto. And there was a motion, I believe, Lou, it was put forward to, and you started some of this to get this name changed. And the book shows some of the pictures and stuff, and I know Inspector Johns is here tonight, and Chief Whalen from the fire department, very much a part of that whole ceremony. But Lou was instrumental in getting that name put on that highway. You know, and that's something, again, that'll be there forever and ever, and we're so grateful for that. We have a project that we're working on here in the city to build a memorial, which we're having great success with, and we'll have that hopefully done next spring. But the Highway of Heroes is very important, and the Royal Canadian Mint has done a coin called the Highway of Heroes coin. Now, I know Lou has the book because I was there when they launched it, but I'm going to present Lou at this time with one of the Royal Canadian Mint coins, Highway of Hero coins, which there's some being printed, of which a lot of the proceeds is going to support our memorial, but it's all about the Highway of Heroes. So Lou, that's for you. Well, you sit down. I'll let you know when I'm done. I also want to, so I also want to mention Lou's staff, and I know Elaine's here tonight and Betty's here. Staff that have been with Lou a long time, and I know Darlene's here tonight. People that we get to work with as mayors on a first-hand basis, and if you're having a real good day, Elaine will talk to you real nice, and if you're not, she doesn't answer the phone quite the same way, but we had a lot of good times, eh, Elaine? Some calls were better than others, but mostly it was pretty good, Lou. Whenever Lou said Elaine will call you, said, oh, God, please. But, we got a lot of good support and a great staff, and very fortunate, Lou, to have a great group working with you. I just want to say to you, Jeff Leal's here tonight. Jeff's the MPP for Peterborough, and so I've got his cell phone number now. So, Leal, whenever we need something now, we know who we're going to call. No, I'm just kidding. We'll try to leave you alone. Anyhow, a lot of good things happen, Luke, and to you and Diane, we want to thank you very much. I know a few months ago, that wasn't a fun time for you, but you have to know that all these people in this room, the communities that you've supported, we just can't say enough about how appreciative we are. Now, I know you won't get a lot more clothing and apparel from the Ontario government or Liberal Party, because Lou used to always have these jackets on, you know, the Ontario Liberals and stuff. So, what I did was, and I wanted to bring you and Diane something. Diane, this is for you. This is your own coat, 20 West, the natural attractions. On behalf of Quinte West, I want to thank you, Lou and Diane. And I have a presentation here I'd like to read. Presented to Lou Rinaldi in recognition of your years as MPP, Northumberland-Quinte West, with sincere appreciation for your dedicated service to the City of Quinte West, City Council staff, and the citizens of Quinte West. Congratulations, Lou. Thank you for all you've done for us. Appreciate that.
Certainly good to see Bruce Davis again. I haven't seen him for about 30 years. He had hair then. Just what I think of it, Lou, I've got these photographs. They're not those kind of photographs. But I happened to be at Provincial Council in Niagara on the meeting when you and Diane were there. And I have a couple of beautiful photos of you and Diane, of course. I've got the other one with John Thunder in it. Is John here? Where is he? Okay, as long as he gets a copy of that, that would be terrific. And I just, I'm here with my wife Donna, and we've been here in this area over the last 30 years, Donna, so many times. Donna was the federal Liberal area coordinator, and this was part of her district. And during those times, I was also the provincial area coordinator. So I know the young fellas here tonight, like Ernie Parsons, who has done such a great job in the provincial legislature. And of course, I don't know if you and Leal would remember, but I was at your place once, and Greg Sabera, who's really the man who kind of, I can't, as long as nobody reports directly to the Premier. Oh, is Rod here? Oh, hi, Rod. So good to have you here. Did you want to pay up on any of those wagers that you owe me now? Or can I tell this wonderful audience the current circumstance that we're going through? I'm waiting for you to say yes, Rod. I'm only kidding. I would not do that. A wonderful gentleman and a very special person out of the Premier's office. But Greg Sabera was at you O'Neill's, and the special function, Donna and I went down, and I remember you being the minister, and it was just a great time, and I remember the great job that you did. I remember the great jobs that both you and Ernie did. So after you've got guys like Lou and Jeff and myself here tonight from the province, it's really nice to be able to say, I knew a couple of classy gentlemen, and it was Ernie and you. Okay, so special gratitude to you, because I'm sure Jeff and I can foul it up pretty good. Lou's done a pretty good job along the way. And the very first time that I knew anything about Lou, my wife came home, and she has first of all, she's a saint because she's married to me for, I don't know, a long time. I think it's over 45, but not at 50 yet, but we're working on it. If she stays, we'll make it. But she came home and said, I met this wonderful gentleman. He's the new mayor of Brighton, and he is absolutely fantastic. He understands, Donna has an environmental background. He understands the environment, but he's also a business person. So he understands business, so he's going to be absolutely just a wonderful person. And the other thing that I really like about him, of course, Donna is about an inch shorter than me, and that makes her about 6'1". She says, when I'm having a conversation with him, I can always rest my elbow on his forehead. think of it, Diane, you're an absolute saint. You are an absolute saint. And for your children, Michael, Maria, Mark, Matthew, thank you very much for coming along to each help share the load with your mother and keeping an eye on your father. I have to, I guess I should be nice for a minute, because our good friend and colleague Jeff is going to come up, and I don't know how old some of the, first of all, there's no old people here who are ladies, because they're all young, vibrant-looking individuals who are here with us this evening. But for some of you men, we come down this way, and my father actually started the Ajax newspaper by coming down, nice to have some words from Cobourg, with the Haynes boys. And when they opened their doors right in the very beginning, Ed, Doug, and George, the three boys. As a matter of fact, gosh, I just took one of the boys just went up to see my father, who's now in his 90s, and all good things start in a great area. This is a great area, and we were fortunate to, my father was fortunate enough to start the newspaper here. Hey, Lou, what people probably don't see is what Jeff and I see on an ongoing basis when there's a caucus meeting, and that's all elected members of the government part of the legislature. That's the government, and we always meet with the Premier, and we meet every week for a couple of hours, and there are some people who just happen to stand up and say the right thing at the right time. Jeff Leal is one of them. There's people like Jerry Phillips. I can name 3 or 4 or 5 people who can see between the lines and who can pick out something, or who can pick out a potential shortfall in an area and suggest something to make a particular resolution that's going forward better. This man right here has that uncanny ability. As soon as he stands, and I'm not being jovial about this, everybody actually does see him because we're all sitting. I'm sorry, I meant that as an honest opinion. But when he stands, you could hear a pin drop. And on several occasions you will hear the Premier say, "Lou, that's a good idea, can we talk about that?" I'm going to, I think that's about enough classiness, other than the fact you have a very special member who's retired. I don't know what to say, because I was pretty despondent when I heard the result that night, especially when you see what they do on the inside for each and every person in this room, each and every person in the constituency, just someone special. And there's one little comment I've got to leave. Jeff, why don't you come on up just while I do this. Lou has been a tireless advocate, never took no for an answer. I can tell you, one of our friends, the Attorney General, was visiting this riding at one point, and he referenced a piece of legislation, and he said, even though pit bulls were banned in Ontario, Lou Rinaldi still exists.
Thanks so much, Joe. It truly is a pleasure and an honor for me to be here this evening, to be with Lou and Diane Rinaldi, and Lou, your municipal colleagues that are here with you this evening. People from right across the riding, from every end of Northumberland-Quinte West. Ernie Parsons, who I had the privilege of serving with, and Hugh O'Neill, who encouraged me a number of years ago that I should think about entering provincial politics. You know, when you look at it, when you think about it for a moment, during a generation, there's a remarkable individual that comes to the forefront. individual who serves in public life for all of the right reasons. Lou Rinaldi is one of those remarkable people who served in public life for all the right reasons. With Lou, I share 2 school boards, and I've had the opportunity to tour a lot of this riding with Lou over the last 8 years. And you know, whatever community you're in, as part of this riding, you see Lou's fingerprints over it, making every one of these communities a much better place to live, work, and play. When I arrived at Queen's Park in 2003, it was an opportunity to forge a friendship with both Lou and Diane Rinaldi. Lou and I had the common background of being in municipal politics. I got to know Lou extremely well, had the opportunity to sit down and enjoy a cold beer with him, or a cup of coffee, or lunch, or dinner. An opportunity for me to learn about his riding and his devotion to each and every one of you on any given day. And when you serve in public life, there's a whole number of us in here this evening who've had that privilege. The people you serve with become part of an extended family. You get to know them extremely well. You get to know all the ups and downs and the challenges that we have in any given day. But Lou Rinaldi always had the people of Northumberland-Quinte West in his heart each and every day. Lou and Diane, it's been a great pleasure for me to know you. But let me tell this, I'm going to make a prediction. In the not-too-distant future, the Speaker will rise and recognize the Honourable Member from Northumberland-Quinte West, and again, it will be Lou Rinaldi. Thanks so much.
I knew Joe Dixon before he was classy. 40 years ago, he and I both owned printing companies. And it's just twigging to him now who I am. Nice to see you have become so classy. I sort of feel like Daniel in the lion's den. So those of you who know I'm a Baptist minister will be prepared for the sermon. The reason I feel that I'm like Daniel in the lion's den because I'm here with all of these politicians, and my political background is somewhat in question. In fact, over the years I have told Lou that the closest I ever came to becoming a member of the Liberal Party was to buy Joan Fawcett's house. How many of you remember Joan Fawcett? I don't understand why you've got a tie on tonight. Because for the last several months he's been doing a McGinty, which means no tie. I mean Mr. McGinty. No tie. And so at the last function I was at, I wore a tie and suggested that maybe our MP could take some lessons. And he didn't want any part of it. But I do notice he has a tie on tonight. Dawn, you pushed Donna Russo and her black slip, no, it's a black apron. she's pulling her top down. And her black apron catering outfit. So I want to take the opportunity of saying that I'm at Eddystone Baptist Church every Sunday morning at 11 o'clock. So anybody else wants to give a plug for their organization, they can. Lou, would you stand up for a moment, please? Nancy Brown is the executive director of the Campbellford-Brighton Association for Community Living, and she's also the executive director for Keystone House. And she was to be here tonight, and she asked me if I would give Lou a hug. He says it doesn't feel the same. If you saw Nancy, you'd know what he meant. She asked me also to give you a kiss, and I drew the line. As co-chairman of Keystone House, for those of you who know, we're building a almost $1 million house, and it's being built in Cobourg for the physically and mentally challenged people. And these people are the children of aging adults. People where mom and dad are now 75, 80, 85 years old, and what is going to happen to my children down the road. Lou was able to put through, and I know with the aid of other members, but he was able to put through that we get $672,000 a year to operate our new home, and we thank you. Like Padre Horne, I was constantly telling Lou that he needed all the help he could get. And so this evening, I want to give you some more help.
It's at the Rinaldi family, so I didn't want to stand up here by myself, so we brought all of them. Basically, I want to say welcome and thank you to everybody here. It's a great honor for our family to have our father and grandfather, my mother, obviously all you people care a lot about, so it's really a good honor. Special thanks to Don and Bruce and all the committee for putting this on. I'm a last minute fill-in. Maria is really the person in the family that's responsible for doing this kind of stuff. So forgive me, I'm not much of a public speaker. I'll keep it short and sweet. And I guess one thing that we want to say is that we're real proud of our parents, both our parents, for the work ethic, the family values, and everything that they've taught us growing up through our family business and everything that we've done. Not only that, but we want to thank him for what he's done for our community, for a place for us to grow up in and us to live in. It's a much better place it is than it was 8 years ago, and this is where we live and where we plan on staying. So, once again, Dad, thanks from all of us, Mike, Maria, Matt, all of our extended families, way too many to name. And anyways, so since you're both unemployed now, Angie said there's no free lunch around the table, and the Speedway's hiring, so she thought she'd bring out your old uniforms. Mom, here's your canteen. And Lou, your official jersey. And training starts next week. Thank you very much.
Well, so far tonight we've seen Lou through the lens of politicians, from a leader in the social services sector, and from his family. But before we turn the microphone over to Lou, I think it's also important to view him through the lens of the people who have worked so closely with him over the past 8 years, his staff. I usually asked Elaine Palmatier, Lou's executive assistant, to summarize Lou's accomplishments. And you know, it's not the accomplishments that she said that struck me the most. It was the verbs and the phrasing that she used that was most striking. For example, through her lens, I'm sure it's through the lens of the other staff as well, it was Lou's constant advocating, and she used the word fighting, that Northumberland Hills Hospital got its MRI, and Trenton and Campbell Hospitals got their CT scanners. It was Lou who dragged, again, her words, George Smitherman to Brighton to witness the Brighton Health Services Centre project, and in so doing succeeded in getting the first family health team in the entire province located in Brighton. And it was Lou who took the bull by the horns, again, Elaine's words, approached the Premier and his staff at a social event to get the ball rolling on attracting a new Kellogg's plant to the area, the first new Kellogg's plant in Canada in over 25 years. And it was Lou who, quote, personally tracked down the bureaucrats and forced them to listen to his concerns about rural residents driving for hours to get driver's licenses renewed, unquote. All of those, again, are Elaine's words. The end result? Driver licensing centers in Port Hope and Brighton remained open, and Port Hope even got back its driver testing center that had been closed in 1996. And it was Lou who took on Keystone House as his personal conquest, and as Elaine says, it took 7 years to complete, but Lou never forgot. And Elaine goes on about water issues for Hector, a bridge for Jim Harrison, I think she means the Smithfield Bridge on Highway 2, a Frank for Peter Delanty, a community center for Brighton, and a YMCA, and hopefully, in a very, very short time, a marina for John. And her list went on and on and on, and that's as far as I want to take it there. But it is clear from Elaine's notes that Lou's staff love him very much. And from my observations, it is equally clear that Lou loves them. Almost as much as he loves his family. So I'd like to ask the 4 members of his staff who are here tonight, who supported him, and oftentimes protected him, and certainly made sure that every one of his constituents received top quality customer service, to stand and be recognized. Elaine Palmatier.
It's my very real pleasure tonight to, on behalf of all of Lou's friends who are here, to make a presentation as a token of our thanks for the wonderful job he's done in being the representative of this very special corner of Ontario. It's not a gold watch, because a gold watch usually means retirement in the offing, and certainly for Lou, that's a long way off. But there's nothing wrong in taking a holiday, and I know that young lady on his right would just love to take a trip to Italy. And so we hope that our small gift will help make that happen.
Lou has redefined what it means to be a grassroots politician. There wasn't an issue he wouldn't confront. A crowded Trenton High School auditorium filled with residents anxious about rumored service cuts at Trenton Hospital. What did he do? He met their questions head on. Union demonstrators in front of the Cobourg office. What did he do? He invited their spokesman in for a coffee and a chat. Protesters of the Cormorant cult picketing at his annual summer picnic. What did he do? He took them corn and beef on a bun. Standing front and center with Port Hope residents and inviting cabinet ministers to the town to prove that Port Hope is not the radioactive minefield that an American environmentalist was making it out to be. And there wasn't a Christmas parade in the riding that he didn't like, An invitation to a 90th birthday or a 50th wedding anniversary that he never turned down if he could fit it into his hectic schedule. And the many receptions and rubber chicken circuit. He didn't miss very many. And at one event in Cobourg a couple of years back, he almost had Diane convinced that pigeon was chicken. Didn't quite happen. And you know, I've never met a man more caring for others. He's more concerned about the future of his staff than he is about his own future. And Lou, your compassion was so clearly evident in the recent passing of a great Brightonian, your friend and mine, Brian Pelt. You took time from your busy campaign schedule to attend his birthday party. You called him shortly after the election to see how he was doing, and just 2 days before he died, you called him again. I can tell you that Brian and his family were incredibly touched by your compassion, and I don't think I need to tell you that Brian Todd was one of your biggest fans. I've never met a man more humble in victory, as several of us witnessed on election night, more gracious in defeat. And I've never met a man who applies such a simple but powerful philosophy to his work and to his life. With respect to work, it's simple, and I've heard Lou express this on many occasions. Get up every morning, do the very best you can do, and even if the fruits of your work that day fall short of what you hoped for, take comfort in knowing that you gave it your best shot. And with respect to life, his philosophy is equally as simple. And many of us heard it on election night. He said, the sun will rise in the morning no matter what happens the night before. Health and family is what counts the most. Well, Lou, the sun did rise on October the 7th, and if I recall, it shone brightly. You have your health, you have Diane and your family, and as you can see here tonight, your extended family is huge. From all of us, thank you, Lou. Ladies and gentlemen, Lou.
Darn podiums, stand on your way. You're always taller than I am. It never changed. One thing I wasn't successful on that I kept on saying whenever there was a function that I'd be behind a podium that was taller than I am, that during my political career, if there was one thing I was going to accomplish by the law, that podium should be adjustable. And I failed to do that. Everything's been said, and I'm not sure that there's much I can add, but first of all, to Don and Bruce and Doug Platt and Elaine, Forrest, Doug and Kathleen, and whoever else I'm forgetting. You just wanted to have an excuse to have a party, and you did it. Sure, pick on me, but that's okay. Thank you. It's something that certainly wasn't expected or needed, but it certainly, I guess, brightens that day when we get up in the morning and we talk about this tonight, or we'll be talking about it all night probably. Just incredible. Donna Russo, a great friend. She helped us in many functions, whether it was at Queen's Park, I believe, at one time, or at other events, and she always was there to support us. Bruce mentioned staff. First of all, Elaine and Betty have been there with me from day one, 8 years ago. I think Betty started a day or two before Elaine. And the rest of the staff that Bruce mentioned, and I know there's a couple of other people here tonight that were my staff. And Travis is still here. I used to call him Trevor when he worked for me, but his name was really Travis. Travis, not only did he work for me, but has been a huge friend, a huge supporter. He never failed to step up. And I see Jennifer and her husband Ian are here tonight. Jennifer, thank you very much for being part of Lou Rinaldi. The sad part is, through no fault of their own, they also lost their job. And you know, it's challenging. You know, it's easy to say that you knew this when you get into it, but it's not quite as easy when it ends. I know that they will get jobs. And they're looking for work, by the way. I thought I'd put in that plug. I'd be remiss that he wasn't with me from day one, but he joined us somewhere along the course, probably 4 or 5 years ago. And he wasn't a paid staff, but he just joined Rinaldi cause. And he helped my staff, he helped me achieve a lot of the goals. Michael, stand up, Michael. Michael, it's very easy for me to stand up here, same as the other mayors, politicians, that take all the credits out in their community. But really, we're just a figurehead. We only do what you tell us to do. And without your help, we wouldn't have been able to do all those. You know, October 6th wasn't a pretty day, pretty finish. But you know, we all need to hold our heads high because we have a better place to live, work, and play. For none. No regrets whatsoever. I'd be remiss if I didn't start thanking my family. You see part of them here tonight, starting from my wife Diane, and my friends, politicians are here tonight. And I would mention, but there's just too many of you, and I forget somebody, and we'll be here all night. But being a spouse of a politician, sometimes it's not easy. I remember going home some nights and she'd be having a newspaper in the kitchen table or whenever I got home. And obviously, no offense to the reporters, they did a great job. They reported something maybe a little bit slanted, you know. And she'd say, "That's it, I'm not going out anymore. I'm not going to the grocery store. This is embarrassing, you know." So but anyways, they put up with a lot. You know, one of the things I told my staff and the family, just remember, when you get the speeding ticket, it's the wife or the son or the daughter or the staff, Lou Rinaldi, the MPP, that got the speeding ticket. So you take part of the load. But to say thank you is not enough. It's certainly to Diane and Mark and Angie and Maria that really bad she couldn't be here tonight. She had kidney stones yesterday, and if anybody had those, you know what it's like. And so she's at home, and I know we chatted around 4 o'clock. She really wanted to be here tonight. But her 2 daughters are here, my granddaughter Allie and Jordan, and they also pitched in very hard during the election campaign. And I wouldn't have been able to do what I did, both provincially and municipal, without them. I'd be remiss, and like I said, I wasn't going to name any names, but Kim Wright is here tonight. And Kim, as you know, she's in the very back corner. She was a Liberal candidate in the federal election. And her and I are going to sit down and strategize, you know, see what went wrong. But I think what went wrong was out of our control. But anyways, having said that, Kim was one of 6 women that was recognized this week as being the National Entrepreneur Lady of the Year, recognized Entrepreneur of the Year. So she's one of 6 ladies in all of Canada. And Kim... I was told it's not supposed to be a political event, but what the heck, right? I hear that's a federal award that the federal government, somebody within the government, obviously they didn't do very good research. They didn't know you were a Liberal candidate. So good for you. Bill commented on my tie tonight. Bill, I wasn't going to wear a tie, but I know that Mayor Williams would be here. I didn't know you were going to be here. And I know that Mayor Mark Wallace from Brighton was going to be here tonight. And these guys are always dressed up to the kilt, right? And I figured, man, I can't let those guys show me up tonight. I even polished my shoes. And, you know, they tell me that both Mayor Wallace and Mayor Williams, they wear their suits and ties to bed because they always want to look good. And John, you know, I can't resist it. I can't resist it, John. You know, you heard him say before, he said it, he threw the lob ball out, that regardless what political party you're in, we all have to work together, right? So he gives me a gift on blue paper. John, the Christmas lights downtown Trenton are blue. Santa Claus is red. All kidding aside, I mean, thank you very much for being here tonight. But I just failed to understand something. When I found out the numbers are here tonight, I did some very quick math, and I'm pretty good at math, you know. So, if on October the 6th, you would have got, listen to me now, if every one of you would have got 1 1/4 more vote for Lou, or you would have stopped 1 1/4 less people voting for the other guy, you would have saved yourself $25. I need to say a special thank you to my colleagues that are here at Northumberland-Quinte West. Joe and Donna, I know that Joe really plays a good front, but really Donna is the one that buttons up his pants and does his belt, shoes. Thank you for being here. Jeff was right. We've become real close friends. And I think I probably talked more to Jeff since the election than we talked sometimes in the past. Because we still talk about a lot of things, and he's become a real good friend. My on and off seatmate, Les Sandals. You know, they put us in alphabetical order at Queen's Park. You think we're still in grade 1, right? That's probably so that the Premier can remember our names. But if she wasn't attached to my right arm, she was just across the aisle, which is about this wide on my right. And we shared a lot of stories. We come from a different part of the province. And Liz, this means an awful lot. Rod, you heard the name Rod before. Rod, he's a guy that when things don't go right, the Premier sends him out like a little dog to, go and smarten up the Lou Rinaldi or the Jeff Leal or the Liz Handles. But we've also become a good friend. He retired for a while, but then he missed us so much that he came back. But just a little word of caution. So you'll be ready when you go back to Toronto for Monday. A little bit of warning. I had a call from the Premier today, about 4 o'clock. And that's what telling me that he had a call from one of the radio stations in an interview and supposedly said a lot of nice things about me. But anyway, besides that, he says, Lou, I'm not happy. Well, frankly, when you lose an election, you could tell the Premier, so who cares? But I didn't do that. I says, Premier, I'm really sorry. What did I do wrong? He says, you know what tonight is, Lou? And I go, yes. They're throwing a tribute for me in Trenton. So I was told there's going to be 24, 30 people there. He says, Lou, it's the Trillium Dinner in Ottawa. And that's a fundraiser for the party. And it's in the Premier's hometown. And he says, Lou, you've been there every year. I was hoping although you were not successful in being re-elected, you'd be there this year. But I can understand why you're not there, and that's okay. But I'm really not happy about some of those folks, MPPs and staffers, that chose to go to your place instead of coming. So you better think of an excuse for Monday. As I listened to all the things that you said, the speakers and the people that I chatted with in the floor during the evening, it's very, very touching, very rewarding, and it's something that, this night I'll never forget. But on a lighter note, a few times, I don't know if you noticed me here, I was checking my pulse. Because that's the type of things you hear during the eulogy. My friends here that spend some time in public life, and I know Ernie and you can attest this, whenever, or municipal, whenever you make a decision for the common good, remember? not everybody likes it, right? And I remember my good friend Jim Bradley, the member from St. Catharines, now he's Minister of Environment. He used to go to me, he says, Louis says, the road that we're going to, he says, 20 years from now it'll be written on our tombstone. Lou Rinaldi did a good thing, he voted for GST. Right? HST, I should say, HST. So, you know, you try to do the right thing, but people only remember when you're gone. But no, it's rewarding. But let me just say that the things that we were able to accomplish together, I had a phenomenal staff. Just, you know, there were no bosses except Elaine that tried to keep it in line once in a while. And sometimes she wasn't successful either. But, you know, we were a real team. It didn't matter whose idea it was, how it got done. It didn't matter how menial or how important some was, were there. But it goes beyond that. It goes to the 120,000 people of the riding of Northumberland-Quinte West, because we were there really working collectively for our betterment. We didn't always agree, but you know, so we're just a figurehead, whether it's an MPP, an MP, or a mayor or council. You know, it's nice to take the credit, but really, you know, I didn't wake up in the night with some idea that John Williams needed a YMCA or Peter needed a Frink. It was their idea, and the people that they represented, and just for me, it was an honor to work with them. So I know the night is getting late. I'm just going to say, I was trying to say, how do you say thank you? And frankly, there is no other way except repeating it 1,000,000 times. And take it as 1,000,000 times thank you. I'm just going to close with this. October the 6th, Election Day, wasn't something that, frankly, they're not going to lie to you, that's something that we wanted to see. It happened, people have spoken, and we're very, very fortunate to live in a country where there's democracy, and we respect that. We could talk all about October the 6th until the cows turn red. It's not going to change, and we accept that, and that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. Life will go on. But just, I'll leave you with this thought, just because October the 6th wasn't maybe the way that we wanted to go, that doesn't mean that Lou is going to hide somewhere, or is going to be, the door will be closed. I won't answer the phone. I'm more and more determined to carry on whatever way, I'm not sure which way yet, to make sure that the community that I had the privilege to represent for 8 years, the best 8 years of my life, will make it even better. So Lou's not going to hide, he's not going to go away, don't know how we're going to do it, but I'm not going to go and hide. I'll do something, I'm not sure what, but always with the intent to make our community the best place to live, work and play and raise our family. So thank you very much for being here tonight. On behalf of Diane and I, you have no idea what this means. You just have no idea what this means. And it's a night amongst many other nights, many other days, many other activities that I will never, never forget. And thank you for allowing me to do what I've done. And hopefully keep on doing something that I know I'm going to enjoy. And I might be knocking on your door for whatever, somewhere down the road. And our door, it's always open. My phone number is listed as long as we keep on paying the bill at the end of the month, which I'm sure we will. So please stay in touch. We build up this great friendship, and we're not going to let it go to waste. Good night, God bless, and have a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year.